I almost forgot to mention, I weighed those two cutoffs. They were just shy of 19 pounds combined for a foot of material. So I've got 13 more feet. So this thing weighs in at somewhere between 240 and 245. Well, I'm going to say she's 245 pounds. And look at that. Quite a piece of lumber anyway. Two coats of shellac on it and let it sit for a good hour or so. Then maybe come down and do a little light sanding on it and apply a third coat, a real thin coat. One that I can put on a little faster without it drying and tacking up on me. But then we should be good. I'll put some armor seal on the bottom here and the sides as well before I flip it over. So that I'm getting ready to paint my lines on my board. The bottom and the sides are all sealed with shellac and armor seal. I got my lines laid out here 6 inches from the bottom and then an 1/8 inch and then another 6 and an 1/8 and then stencils. I just made my own stencils off the computer. Found a font I liked and printed them and then I cut them out. You can maybe see my trusty assistant floating around there. That's my daughter's dog, Bucky. Say hi, Buck. Bucky is a puggle, and we have the pleasure of watching the dog while my daughter and son-in-law are in Mexico. 20 below here last night. They're in the sunshine and warmth of sunny Mexico. So anyway, there's no really second chance with this, short of sanding all this off and redoing it. So I'm going to take my black and spray down, light coat here, my center stripe, and then my other end. So I'll do that, and then we'll come back. See how she turns out, and then once you get done with that, then you put your polymer sealer on there, polymer resin, I should say, 2-part resin. So let me spray paint this, and then we'll be right back. I guess I can I'll leave the camera on. I'll do this end. Alright, I'm going to do the center stripe and the other end, and I'll be back. Alright, let's see how it turned out. I'll have a little hand sanding to do over there. Once that dries, got underneath the paper. But what are you gonna do? Stripes look good. One's pretty good on this side anyway. All right, we'll give it a little while to make sure it gets nice and dry, but you can see I've got some overspray right there, then around the numbers a little bit. I think I can get most of that off of there. Okay, after some tedious hand sanding, I think it was about an hour's worth, I think we're ready to go. So what I need to do now is tape up the edges and basically form a dam around the edge here with tape to keep the polymer resin from flowing off. So I'm going to take and do that, taper up. Get ready to run my first gallon. We'll see how she looks. So give me a little time, I'll get some tape on here. Okay, got my 2 mixing buckets. I want you to mix it in one bucket for 2 minutes, pour it into another bucket so that you get that churning action, I guess. Mix it for 1 more minute and then go ahead and pour. Now the one thing you can't see is that I've got the Envirotech sitting behind me. It's in my sink here in my shop, sitting in warm water. And they want that, they say that if it's 70 degrees or cooler, then you should warm it up a little bit. So that's what I'm doing. I'm giving that a few minutes. I'm not going to show you how it's mixing up, you know, and all that stuff. You can read the directions if you get this, and that's what you do. And one thing I'm not doing is, this is hard maple. I'm not sealing this. I'm just going to pour directly on this. I did a little test the other day on this scrap piece here. And the one side I had sealed with shellac, and I poured a little sample piece, and I was able to peel that right off. So I don't want that to happen. I want it to bond to the wood. And on this side I've got another piece, and it's been probably 20, maybe 30 plus hours, and that baby's not coming off. Now it's not fully cured yet. I think it takes 3 days for it to fully cure. So I'm going to let it bond right to the wood. There's a possibility I might have to deal with some bubbles, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Alright, I'm going to get things ready to go, and then I'll show you what it looks like after I get it poured. My first pour anyway. And this is about 4 hours later. Looking pretty good. I've got a few bubbles here and there, but I'm not going to sweat it too much. It's going to be a nice little game, I think. And then I'll deal with those bubbles after she's fully cured. So now she sits for about 3 to 4 days. And I am gonna walk away. Just let it be. I'll come back down tomorrow, maybe. Not maybe, I'll come down tomorrow and take a look and see what's going on, but I like the way it looks. Okay, it's been about 22 hours. It's not fully cured. They say it takes about 3 days. So but I am gonna take the tape off here. But one thing I wanted to point out to you was the there's a few places where I've got bubbles that came up, and that's my fault because these joints were a little bit open right here. So it's basically air trying to get up out of the crack and to the surface. So had I been a little more diligent about doing that, I probably could have prevented that. Not probably, I could have prevented that had I just filled those cracks with JB wood, or any kind of wood filler, I suppose would have worked. So, but it's not a professional table, it's just for my use, and you really don't even play on this surface. You brush up, or you put these silicone beads, wax beads they call them, and that's what your pucks ride over. So this is nothing more than just something for that stuff to sit on, but you want it flat, and it is flat. That I can tell you. I can look down this surface and it is like a sheet of glass basically. Now I thought maybe I was going to put another coat. I had another gallon setup of Envirotex Light, this polymer finish that goes on, but this is fine. It's perfectly thick enough and flat enough that I'm just going to go with it, and I'm going to return that to the store. So I'm going to take the tape off. I'm going to work on the edges here a little bit. Get that. There's a little lip here that's formed. You know, whenever you see water, you get that little. You get a little lip on that you can see through the glass. I don't know what that tension, I guess, from the tension of the water. So I'm going to clean that up and take care of the edges, and we should be good to go here. But overall, I like the way it is. I did take a little plane iron and just take the caps off these bubbles. So that's fine. I'm looking forward to playing the game on this baby. So I don't know if you can see those or not in this shot. Let me see if I can zoom in on them here. Maybe is that one right there? You can see that dimple. Right. No, that's not a dimple. I guess it is a little bit of a dimple. But I'd rather have those little, that's a little dimple. There's a little places where a bubble, like right here. Let's see if I can find that for you. Right there. It's a bubble. And I've got a couple over here. Right up this line here. This is where most of them were, where this one joint was not pulled tight together. So anyway, it'll be fine. I'll show you down here how my numbers turned out. Let me move this over this way. And the one thing I will say is that, and I am really glad of this, is that this whole area from probably about, I don't know, 3 feet or so, it is perfect. And that's the main scoring area anyway. And the other half of this table is perfect. All the imperfections were just right in this one area. So, right up in here. All my imperfections were right through here. Right up to about right there is where they stopped. So this part is just, this is perfect from the end to here, which I'm guessing is a good 30 inches anyway. So anyway, let me lower this camera down and you'll be able to see too the glass. The smooth glass, smooth finish. So you can see the reflection of the window, and it is really nice. So this is about 6 inches, and then I don't have another 6-inch line, but there you go. There, we'll get a little better view of it. So that's my first time using that stuff, and it worked out pretty well. Like I said, if you do something like this, make sure that you have nice tight joints here. And you can learn from my mistake, I guess. And you won't get this result like I got, but I don't think it's going to matter anyway. All right, thanks, and that's the end. I guess the next time I'll have a little video shot will be of the completed project. Okay, here's what I got going on. I just want to show this to you quick. I've just worked on this little short section here, and I've got this shaved down. What I started to do was just take my chisel plane first, and I thought I could just take and just pare this off in one pass, but it's too much to remove with one stroke. So what I've decided to do is I've got 2 block planes. I'm going to get this out of here. I've got 2 block planes. This one's set up to take a fairly aggressive cut, and then this one is a really fine cut. So I'm going to start working on this, and I've got a little section right here. I'm going to show you what I'll do because it kind of dips down to nothing. I'm just going to work this edge until I get it close. And I've got my block plane tipped a bit to the outside. Okay, that's pretty close. Back to where I was before the phone rang. I'm just taking little micro passes here. It feels good to me. And I'm just eyeballing it here. And that looks good too. So when you shave it off like that, you get kind of a rough edge. I might have to come back with some fine sandpaper here and just give it a light sanding with like some 1000 grit or 2000 grit paper. We'll see what happens. I can do that right now, actually. Let me try that quick here. I'm gonna grab some. Okay, here's what I'm gonna end up doing. I got a piece of 1000 here, and I'm just hitting this lightly. And that seems to help. I just need to be a little less aggressive with the block plane, but then I come back along the side here as well, because you can just see a little bit that leaked through with the tape residue. It gives you that little bit of an edge, a little rough edge. And when you're playing, from what I've seen, you want to use your handle on the edge here to help guide your throw. So I think this is nice right now, right here. So that's going to be kind of done in a 3-stage process, I think. What I'll end up doing is block planing the edge, then coming back and chamfering the edge, and then coming back and sanding both edges. And I may have to recoat this lightly with my armor seal, because I'm going to scratch it up a little bit with this paper. But we'll see how it feels and looks when I get done. So you run a coat of wax over this thing too when you get done. So it's a little bit of a more of a project right now. Just taking my time, trying to get it nice and smooth on the edge here, making it nice and playable. So you don't want to be able to run your hand along this edge and having a sharp edge there. So take a little time. That's all right. I got plenty of it.